Isn't it ironic when you see an older gentleman with a much younger woman? Perfectly legal, by the way. And the shaming tactics that usually accompany that, especially online, TikTok, right? There are women all over the internet crying. One, because times are hard now. So, winter is here in that sense. But these women essentially mostly are older women, right? Will literally shame you for dating someone younger. But what they fail to realize is that, well, first and foremost, is they will immediately go to the shaming tactics, right? And say, well, it's easier to manipulate them. That's not the case. This is where you have to shine the light back on yourself and look at yourself in the mirror and realize that once upon a time, my girl, my friend, you were 18, you were 19, you were 20. You had those years, right? 18 to 28 is typically that prime sweet spot. And honestly, that's what men are looking for. And you can make the argument if you're a woman watching this, right, that that's not the case. It 100% is the case. Now, I'm not saying that 29 and 30 and over, nobody wants them. I personally wouldn't mind it, but I am not going to do anything serious with it, meaning that I don't personally believe in settling down or the marriage. It's 2025, guys. To my dear brothers and my mankind, right? It's 2025. Let's just face it. Ah, man, my allergies. Uh, no one is getting married in 2025. Heck, I even knew this over a decade ago. But 2023, 24, 25, ain't nobody getting married. No one. Those days of getting down on one knee and popping the question, I think, in my humble opinion, it's over. Now, for me personally, I'm 49 years old and I've taken great care of myself, self improvement, skincare, right? Um, Adequate sleep. I talk about all the wellness stuff on my channel here, so I don't need to go into that bucket right now. But this video it just proves to me, I've proven to myself that if you take care of yourself as a man and invest in self improvement, right, really lock down, you literally can win much later in life. And that's where I'm at. That's where I currently stand today. My last two girlfriends were in their 20s. The one I just broke up with. I just made a playlist, guys, on my channel. I'm finally getting my act together here. You can take a look at that where I talk about my Colombian girlfriend. Really great chick. Nothing horrible, nothing bad to say. We just drifted apart a year and a half in today's culture, right? Being together a year and a half is a long time. But we knew marriage is just not something we both want. And hey, it's a win for me, win for her. And we left cordially, right? And here's the interesting part is that when we were together out and about in public, everyone would say, you guys look so dynamic together. The energy is so contagious. The energy is fantastic. It was great. It was great. And I've also felt some of this dating my other girlfriend, which was a very short stint. I think that was for like 4, 5, 6 months, if that, maybe 4 months. Was very over very quickly, and she was 20, 21. So all of this to say, all of that to say this is that as an older man, there's a lot of benefits that come later on in life. So as I talk about on this channel, is that a lot of times we spend our youth, our personal 20s and 30s, chasing these hot girl summers and these Instagram models, and there's a link tree on my account, and subscribe to OnlyFans and all of this stuff. My guy, you don't need none of that, man. If I would have just taken the time out to realize all of this, which I didn't because I was thinking with the wrong head, is that I would have been way more ahead than where I'm at now. So you need to really lock down and focus in on self-improvement, getting your money up. And I can't stress this enough, but your health is supposed to be your number one priority. Your purpose, your health, chasing money, self improvement, and then somewhere in that fifth, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh spot, even it would be nice to have a feminine woman by your side. And here's where I tend to push back on all the shaming tactics is that the minute an older woman, especially the ones that are 30 and over, right, 35 and over for that matter, um, start poking and jabbing at you that you're dating someone younger, you're not supposed to. The question is, why not? The question is, why not? And why should I date you? Right? Needless to say, there's something called the sexual marketplace value. Now, I am not trying to get myself in hot water with exactly what I'm referring to, but if you're a man, a real man, I'm not talking about the soy culture, the soft era. I'm talking about just men being men from my generation, at least. It's black or white, guys. There's no dancing around this subject. When we talk about sexual market value, we know what's up, right? So why would I want to go and date a 35-year-old when I can easily pull and get and be happy with a 22, 23, 24, 25, 26-year-old, right? And so forth, right? So you gotta, there's this analogy, right, that I've seen my fellow men on YouTube. I have my TV right there talking about this, and it's not a secret anymore that, men must create value. It's so true. And it took me a while to understand that. But once I did and grasped the concept, why it took me a while is because application, right? You have to stop being a lazy piece of what and apply yourself, put in the work. Like when we turn 18, a bunch of us still look like dorks, man. I know I did, right? As a man, as a boy. We don't have any money. We don't have any resources. We have to build these things from the ground up. And I come from a very turmoil childhood. So if you think about it, there's a lot of things that are against you as a man, as a little boy. The culture we live in today is emasculating men. That's another topic that I cover, but I want to go into those topics a lot more deeper. Everything is designed to effeminize us, right? So where are all the real men or the good men, right? One, nobody wants the good men, right? You have to be a strong man, very capable, lifting weights, okay, drinking a gallon of water, fasting, and taking 10,000 steps every single day makes you that force. And what society, even your doctors don't want to tell you is that that's where the magic happens. There's nothing toxic about that. Lifting weights and channeling the testosterone, bringing it and putting it to good use, right? Nothing toxic about that. There's no such thing as toxic masculinity. That's another thing that I hear a lot is these older women will say toxic masculinity. You're trying to manipulate her. You're brainwashing her. Why would she want to be with an older man? Well, stay with me here. There's life experiences and wisdom that we bring along with the aging process, right? Do you think we want to come home and argue with you, meaning that someone that's got a lot of miles on them, the baggage, right? Because men and women, we are completely different, and they can argue till the cows come home, right? You're now making no sense, and biology dictates free market in that sense. It's a free market, right? In biology, you can smell biology, you can feel it, right? Why would I want to be in a steady relationship with someone who's got that big mouth, who's constantly arguing and has got all that baggage from their ex-boyfriends or even ex-husband, and even a single parent, right? For that matter, a single having a child. And I've dated a single mother. I talk about this. I'll never raise another man's child ever, ever, ever again. I have been the good man. I have been the good guy. I've always had a decent physique. I've just gotten into the best shape of my life as of, I would say, the last 3 years. Feel free to check out the content on my channel that speaks to all of that in my journey. So when I'm here, I have worked so hard to be here. I could have been here at 40. I could have been here at 38, which is why I'm sharing this with you. A man's prime doesn't begin till 35. Really, that's where you really start hitting your stride. So you can always go younger as a guy. There's no shame in the game. They don't let this older woman tell you otherwise. You can, and I'm doing this. Not once have I been shamed when I've been out and about in this public place. In fact, all the girls that I've dated in their 20s, all have admitted that they need to live up to where I'm at, meaning that they're only 22, 21, 20 for the matter. The last one was 26 when I met her, 27. And every one of them first are enamored by my self improvement, how I carry myself, and I'm a gentleman. There is no manipulation. There never is a manipulation. What I am, here's what I am. I'm a great listener. I would rather listen to you, someone who's actually got a little bit of that softness, the femininity, right? You don't have that mileage on you, that sexual marketplace value. If you know what I mean, you haven't been ran through, guys, right? That's really, it comes down to that. And what these older women tend to shame us is that once us as men realize our value and go against the grain, of what the culture is trying to tell all men ain't shit, like all of that stuff. Once we realize our value and we start operating outside of what the news and the media makes us to be, we actually have the power. This, and I hate to make this even about power. This isn't even a power struggle. You can just be like, once you're confident and put in the self improvement work, you don't have to argue much. People will look at you. People will look at you and be able to tell, man, that guy, there's something about it. Your energy changes, right? Your spirit comes forward in that light, is because this fitness motive, self improvement journey, there's a light, there's a spirit about it that comes into fruition, and you step into that higher self. This is extremely powerful, and I wish that as a younger man, I had all these. I had someone to advise me. I wish I had this guidance, but I never did. And I found it through athletes, and I talk about this again on my channel. Is I found this through athletes. I would like the way they look. I would like the way they play. Most importantly, I like their killer mindset. Then I would study their diet, right? All of these things are a byproduct of actually being able to be selective, right? Why should I settle down with someone who's older, who's been ran through, who's got so much psychological baggage? See, men having more than men's sexual experiences do not scar us. Men's sexual experiences do not damage us. Our emotions are not tied to those experiences. It can be if we choose to, and if we really like someone. And I've been there. I've on both sides of the equation, which is why I'm telling you the story. If you really like someone, sex can be amazing with that person, right? With that girl that you're dating. And I've been there too. But there's also sex of just having sex, right? The biological need for men, right? The semen, the ejaculation and whatnot, versus porn, right? So, but on the flip side, it's completely different for women. It's completely different for women. And I know that we live in a society where, we celebrate, women are out there knocking out, a head count per se. Like I effed 100 guys and I put it on the internet. I effed 1,000 guys and I filmed it, right? I don't need to go into detail, but it's all on the internet. It's all over, right? And we're celebrating that. And this is the demise of society. This is the downfall of society, is because this is not the era that I know dating and traditional man, woman, just kind of being in their own frames and doing sort of their traditional roles. I don't completely mean to say dictate and control and no, you can. There's a little bit of leeway there. I'm flexible. There's a give and take, but understanding your roles. I think we're kind of heading back there, guys. That's the good news, that the tides have shifted. The tides have turned. I think now I see a lot of girls crying on YouTube, on TikTok, inflation, right? Being not being able to provide for themselves. The strong and independent narrative has failed them. Feminism has failed them, right? And so now, when you start looking at the fact of women are the prize. Are they? Are they? Right? Biologically speaking, time favors who? And again, guys, I don't. I love women. Okay, but when I hear the arguments that I didn't create this world that we live in, I didn't create these arguments and narratives. A lot of us dudes are we're just good dudes, man. uh, as a man to man, like, what are our needs? What are our needs? Very simple. I can look across the room and my fellow brother, my broham, my boys, we can smile because I see the same thing you see. That girl that I see the same thing you see. What we need is food, right? Good food, shelter, right? Peace and quiet, and sex. Four. That's it. That's it. A man can be completely happy with a TV, couch, right? And a floor to sleep, of all things. And I've done that too. I've lived it. I still have a bachelor pad set up. I've given a tour of my place here. It's 1,100 square feet place in Las Vegas. It's a two-story condo. There's snippets of my place here all throughout. This is the studio I built for YouTube. I'm normally walking and talking, as you've seen, but right now we're hitting the 80s, 90s, and I'm not trying to get burnt like toast, which is why I got to start leveraging the studios that I built during summer season here, and it's gonna get really, really hot. So I'm just not gonna sit there and wait for the sun to go down and then hit up the walking trails. I'll still do it. Right now I have time on my hands, so I want to make this content for y'all, right? So I want to bust this myth of manipulation. If you flip it back, right, accountability, women have been boasting about hot girl summers for decades. Hot girl summers for decades, right? When they're 18, some of them are 17, right? And from that point and onwards, they waste their teens and their 20s getting flown out to Dubai, to Europe, right? To these foreign countries. Social media has made it as such where there's a global reach, right? So you're cashing in your 20s. Check the double standards out. You're cashing in your 20s instead of strategically trying to figure out who the best suitor would be, finding the husband, right? Because that husband, all of you all want the 1% guy, and it's just not possible. It's just not possible. Not every woman. Sorry, guys, my allergies. Again, it's the hot and cold. Not every woman's gonna bag a 1% guy, realistically speaking. So you all are just the delusional factor. I just can't fathom. But nevertheless, I'm drifting. You all get flown out overseas. You don't have to do a whole lot. Biology favors you all very early in life. You have the looks. A lot of you are like 16, 17, 18. Some of you really start blossoming and start looking really pretty. And I mean this very well. And again, 18 and over, I can give a compliment, right? I can see, I have a good eye for people. I work in the entertainment industry. I'm in modeling, I'm in acting, right? So when I see someone who has good physical traits as a man and a woman, I know, hey, that person's got potential. That's a good looking person right there, right? And girls, you get your looks up front very early, and those looks fade really fast. There's a window of time. And I've seen some amazing 30-something-year-olds, 30 and over, 40. But what people fail to realize is how much work there's a lot of stuff you can do cosmetically speaking these days, right, to make yourself. I'm not going to go there, but that's very popular today, right? But when you put a 25-year-old, 24-year-old next to a 34, 35-year-old, it's not even close. Energy is different. The vibe is different. The look can also be very different, right? If you're not enhanced chemically like most girls are once they get over 28, 29, 30, there's a stark difference, right? Why would a man who's worked so hard all his life, right? I'm nearly 50, right? I don't want to date a 50-year-old, right? And case in point, now going back to all the hot girl summers getting ran through, all of that stuff you all did. You all had your fun when it was your prime. And now the next batch of 19, 20, 20, and so forth are here, right? And that's the cycle. One batch goes, the other one enters the frame. One batch goes, there's another batch that enters the frame. The reality is, folks, and this is not a secret, is that men prefer dating younger, actually. Men prefer dating younger, actually. Men would 100% wife down someone working at McDonald's, super pretty, super feminine, and give them a good life. If you flip it around, a woman would not do that. Someone who's serving burgers, they could be an anomaly, a one-off, but typically that's not. The rule of thumb is they date up. All women of all ages, even the older ones, date up. They believe that they deserve the 1%. Every chick, right? That's just how it goes. This is where you enter the frame and you show them something different. You may not be the 1% guy, but you can be your best version. And a lot of times, you don't have to be millions. You don't have to be a millionaire. You don't have to be a millionaire. The self-improvement life itself can open doors for you. And it's opened doors for me. I'm not 6 feet. I am 5'11". If I wear a decent pair of boots, which I have downstairs, I'm 6 feet. Boom, problem solved, right? But that's a joke in that case. But yeah, with boots, I'm 6 feet, right? But I am not a 1% guy. But in my mind, I am a 1% guy because men my age, I don't see guys my age being able to do the things I'm able to do. Sprinting, martial arts, gymnastics, soccer, right? Acting, modeling, and whatnot. I have a very diverse martial arts. I have a very diverse background of skill sets and art forms that have served me well and paved the doors open for me, right? I tripled down on my diet, my nutrition, so that I could enjoy a better quality of life. The thing I didn't see coming was, as a byproduct, you would attract younger women to your life. I clearly look younger than my age, and I know this. I get carded every single time I go out somewhere, right? I have a young kid's energy, a young man's energy. When people say act your age, I'm like, what does even acting look like when I'm myself, right? So that's a wrong statement in itself. Act your age. Well, really? Like, you mean like yourself? Because a lot of times the projections and the shaming tactics, don't take it personally, guys. That means you're doing something right. That means you're doing something 100% right. It's 100% to do with what they're lacking, right? Why they're angry is because they believe, in my case, that a guy my age should be dating someone who's 49. A guy my age should be dating a woman who's 40, 41, 38, 30. It doesn't have to be. I'm not saying I'm not open to it, but all you're going to get is dating. That's it. Casual. I'll keep it casual. Because just like you had options when you were in your prime, right? You kept your plate spinning, and I talk about social media. Traditional relationships are dead, but social media, these girls are not just talking to you. Even these older ones, right? Inflated sense of just, in terms of how they look, they all think they're tens. Everyone thinks they're tens, right? But what's even deadlier here, what's even sad, and also to note, is that social media, they'll always have options. They will always have options. You're not going to be the only one. So, the tides are shifting, guys. The tides are shifting. The story, the narrative is shifting. That as a man, you can have options too. I am setting the bar as a standard for 50, nearly 50. And I know there's a huge group of community for men out there that are in my shoes doing their thing, man. That's just how it is. Doing their thing. I'm just trying to be cool. I'm not that cool. And thriving. And I'm happy. Right now, I'm bachelor mode. Like, I just broke up about 2 months ago. So, I'm slowly putting myself back out in the marketplace, and I'm not looking for younger. But if a young chick gives me the signs and the signal, sure. Why would I turn that down? Why are we as men shunned from wanting to date younger women? There's no manipulation. The energy aligns. This is great. It's they don't argue with you as much, and they're open to listening to your life experiences, your stories. They appreciate you. They're very feminine. And I don't even tell them once what to do. They just do. They just do. Granted, the Gen Z right now, that's the girls that I'm dating. There's a lot of there's a lot of kookiness. There's a lot of stuff that's going on out there, right? So you have to kind of vet the process, because vetting them is, really, really important. But I would still place my money on dating younger, because there's a good chance that your world and her world, when you come together, align. It just works, right? And as a man, don't get married today unless you want to have kids. That's something in your future. That's something you absolutely must have. Family. I would get familiar with marriage laws. It does not favor the guy, and there's a good chance, based on, you know, everything that's happening in society today, she's probably going to file a divorce 10, 15 years from your marriage date, take the kids and half your stuff and run away, right? It happens. I've seen this happen way too many times. There are good marriages out there. There are good ones out there, and hats off. And you are not meant to be part of this equation here. But I will tell you, I did a video about married women being on married folks in general being on dating apps, opening their marriages up, wanting a threesome, a husband being a cuck and wanting to see his wife being plowed by other guys. These are the things I am seeing on the internet. I am not gonna put a ring on your finger, but what you're gonna get from me is, if you're a cool chick, you'll have my loyalty. Like, I am typically good with one girl. Like, I don't like to switch sexual partners because of STDs. Big one, big one. What people are overlooking is STDs, right? That's a big one, right? And always be protected when you are active. So that's my video here. I know I went in many different ways about this shaming tactic, but just remember, guys, as an older man, I'm losing my voice here. As an older man, as a guy, you can the world is yours. You can't be lazy, right? You got to get off the couch. You got to get off the couch. You got to put that remote down. You got to get your relationship with food right in order, and really embrace a self-improvement lifestyle. The money and all of that, it's part of the equation, because once you get your mind straight, your life connected and aligned with self-improvement, automatically how you think changes, and how you think changes is you're goal oriented and you want to make money, right? You clear the obstacles when you get into the self-improvement space and really start attacking your goals. And that's where I want the younger guys especially to lock in on. And to the older guys out there that have a gut, that have completely lost themselves, going through a divorce, not happy in your current relationships, but wanting more options, I am here. I am making these videos. I have my channel. In fact, I just rebranded the banner to say men 40 to 55 plus. That's a wide range, because life really begins for us guys at 38, 39, 40, and so forth, right? And it gets better. It gets better. Guys, I'm still getting carded, okay? So, and I'm 50 in about 3-4 months, okay? That's something to be said. Take this as inspiration and motivation. Don't listen to the hecklers, the older woman shaming you, because they don't have any choice. They don't have any choice but to continue that path. And no guy is gonna, 100%, no man is gonna go home to that. No, they're telling on themselves the more they're doing this. They're telling on themselves. What they're really saying is, I don't have any options. They feel entitled to the better version of you today. Okay? They feel entitled to the better version of you today. And they don't deserve you. They don't, because they never looked at you, right, when they were in your prime. But now that you're in your prime, when you've gotten to 32, 33, 34, your prime is just about to skyrocket. And you do not want to put a ring on a 34, 35 years, someone your own age. I recommend going younger. 100% of the time, I recommend going younger. And I think I've covered this enough in this video. I'm going to call it here. My allergies are kicking up. Till the next video, Mamba out.